Good morning, Campbell. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How you going, Guy?
I'm all right, thank you. I think I've got Farina's jet lag, but other than that, I'm all right.
Yeah, yeah. Been
What's
up for a
new?
while.
Yeah. She's her body clock's not adjusted, so she thinks right now I think she thinks it's midnight because they
Nah,
were 8 hours behind. It's 8 a.m. here. What's new
yeah.
your end, mate?
Oh, wow. Lots and not much. I've just been working actually, like lots, putting out lots of content, making content. Um, content. Content.
Are you content with the content?
Making videos. Wow. Jeez. Who knows? Um, yeah, so I've had 2 weeks alone basically in my house. My roommate's away and Kelly was away. She got back yesterday, I think. So I had some time on my hands, which I haven't had for a while. So I just went crazy making lots of videos.
Keeping
And I'm
yourself
heading
busy.
off. Yeah, yeah. Well, heading off to the farm on Monday in 2 days for 2 weeks to do some building and get ready for an event down there. So I've yeah been making videos to put up to go up when I'm away because I normally
Yeah,
don't get a lot done. And you know when this is your business, you need to keep
yeah.
money.
I was talking
Unfortunately,
to,
telling the
sorry.
truth doesn't pay the bills.
Do you know what somebody said to me the other day that I should? It's not the first time I've been told that I shouldn't charge for my books. I should give them away. I thought
What?
I don't know how that works because I have to buy them.
Come on, you
Um,
can mortgage the house, you can sell everything you've got, live in a tent, and give people free books.
yeah, and I thought it's weird, isn't it? The perceived value of a free book is zero.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's oh my God, that's just insulting in the highest degree. I mean, what the hell do these people think? And they go out and pay $6 for a coffee or something,
Yeah,
and all this other
exactly.
crap, that they don't need, that's bad for them. But when someone does the work and researches and gets it down, and then it should be free. I mean, I've heard this a lot too over the last 5, 6 years almost. Like the truth, anything to do with the truth should be free.
Yeah.
Well, okay, like then the truth dies, right? Because unfortunately, without money, you can't eat.
No,
Without
you can't get the truth out there,
you'll
can you?
die. You'll die. You won't be able to have the internet to make video or like it's an immature. That's what it is. It's very immature of people who don't understand what the world is. I mean, it's great to want change, and we all want change, but you've got to understand that there is a reality that we're in, and this is the way it works
Yeah.
at the moment, and we're all working on a change. Probably apart from the people who are telling you to give them the truth for free, they normally do the least, right? Um, but it's a work in progress. We're getting there, but on the way through, we all need to live.
Yeah, I found that it's funny because here, I don't know what it's like there in Australia, but here, if you don't pay for things, um, there are a group of people called bailiffs that seem to turn up on your doorstep and they take huge offense to you deciding that. And also, if I go and do my food shopping and don't pay for it, they call the
Yeah.
police, which, I don't know if that's something other people have experienced, but it's definitely a problem
Well,
here in the UK. It's called
clearly,
stealing.
yeah, clearly food isn't truth, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Only if you write truth on it that they just let you have it for free because the truth is always free, right?
I
So I
think
think
that,
we talked about this last time. All these people saying this have probably got jobs working for the system, or they're not working and they're getting paid directly by the system.
yeah.
So they're just perpetuating the problem that they
Mm,
claim they are against.
yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Mm.
So have you been seeing anything doing the rounds at the moment out there? Anything of any interest?
Yeah, yeah, there's a few things. The new AI, have you seen the videos?
No.
Google have released their new AI system and it makes videos like just on prompts, like good ones. And so they're doing the rounds, basically showing all these videos that, yeah, that look real.
So this is, you can go on Google and create a video.
Yeah, Google's AI, yeah, just with prompts.
I wonder if
So
that's what a lot of content on YouTube is from then.
this is the thing, like, and it's they're making, obviously Google has made most of these videos as an advertising campaign, they put
Mm.
them on all viral, but they're sort of got this theme of like they're talking to people, interviewing them, they're going, oh, what do you think now that you know you're just a prompt? And the person's like, what? I'm not a prompt. Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, and this is a sort of theme is like that these people in the AI are just prompts and they're being told it or they're just realizing it and they're like, running around saying, oh my God, I've been chased by a dinosaur. Change the prompt. And
Oh
like,
wow.
yeah. And some lady's like interviewed, do you know you're just a prompt? And she's like, oh, well, can they write a prompt to pay my bills? And so it's this big thing, which is kind of what, we've been talking about, on a, similar level about all these clones and like reality and what's going on and,
Mm.
reset orphan babies, all this kind of stuff. What is real, but when you see these videos and you realize we're probably 30 years behind their tech at least,
Yes. Yeah.
right? Which means they've had this tech for a long time.
Mm.
Does that account for a lot of this weird stuff we've been seeing on the TV or whatnot, on interviews and things, all
Yeah.
these people with, shape shifting
Yeah,
and
of
even people
course.
just changing into different people,
Mm.
like that their image changing. Like, we've got to now ask the question, were some of these people ever even real? Because
Yeah.
when you see this stuff, you're like, well, where will it be in a year? And at that point, you won't be able to tell at
No.
all. You can hardly tell now. And we've been in this, what, maybe a year since AI's really started to
Mm.
roll. So it just kind of makes you question everything, right?
Yeah.
You
I
just
got
don't
sent a link
know.
the other day. I don't know if you know him, but here in the UK, one of the bigger podcasters is for sort of truth, the truth movement, if you like, is Richard Vobes.
Yes.
Yeah, that now he sent me a link the other day on WhatsApp to an interview he did with a doctor that used to be really popular on breakfast TV here called Dr. Hilary. I think his name's Dr. Hilary Jones. And he'd sit on the couch with the presenters and they'd have people phone in about various ailments and really seemed like really genuinely nice man. And someone had done a mock interview using AI of Richard Vobes interviewing Hilary Jones. And he sent me it and he said, this isn't me. I've never interviewed him. I can see it's not me. And I look too polished. I almost look like I've had a lot of Botox and stuff done. But, to the untrained eye, this is me interviewing someone about something I've never
What?
discussed. And he
No
freaked
way.
out. He just said, where does this end? But like you said, if it's been around, if we've got this now, how long have they had it? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, I've noticed, another thing on YouTube, like there's a lot of channels that are basically the same. Like literally
Yes.
they just have this, and it's people, I think, and like one is, that the reaction videos where they react to all the different TikToks and they basically just watch all these videos.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's always just one person just watching these videos and they're
Mm,
very real, but they all just follow this same kind of format. And when one of them changes what they're doing, they all seem to change it. And I don't know, I've just since I've seen this AI stuff, I'm wondering, is that is that even real or is that just some smart dude with AI who's running, 20 channels and they're
yeah.
all the same and he's just creating different avatars for each one?
Yeah.
Like just don't know. And then there's the obvious AI ones, there's lots of, these where they just do talking and they use like David Attenborough's voice or someone person's
Yeah.
voice and they do all this. So there's a lot of it coming out, but I mean, we can still tell. And I think every time I see one and I know it's AI, I just go away straight away. Like I don't want to promote that kind of stuff, but I think it's all up to us as far as we need to choose with our time, with our money, whatever we're spending money. We need to choose things that are going to lead to the world that we want to be in the future, right? So
Yeah,
obviously not AI sort of run, more to creativity and that, but we might not we might not know what's AI and what's not very soon, right? I
yeah.
mean, it's crazy. Another one was those orbs that they've been. Have you seen
Hmm.
this? Like these metal orbs, and apparently they've found one and they've done all these tests and everything. Um, like that's big, that's gone viral, right? Basically. And I was having a look at it, and there's maybe 4 or 5 videos of them. So it's all coming from a very small source,
Yeah.
but it's been put out there, and the videos are being cut, and they're being turned into different videos and everything, different formats. So it seems like there's like all these different videos, but there's really not. There's really like so again, that whole thing that could be AI, right? That could be
Yeah.
one person or one organization just putting out a couple of videos,
Mm.
and then one picks up on it and they start cutting them and they do other little commentary videos, and suddenly it's everywhere and it seems like, oh my God, these orbs are everywhere. But
It
yeah, they're
there's
not.
you just reminded me of something. I don't know if you've seen her. She's got a big following on YouTube, and it happened almost overnight, and on Facebook as well. Her name's Emma. On YouTube, she's called M Spiracy.
Mm.
She got called out. Did you see it?
I don't know.
You know who I'm talking
Well,
about, don't you?
yeah, yeah, the attractive English British lady.
Switches from
Um,
very well spoken to sort of Cockney, and then a little bit northern at times. Her voice, her accent changes.
okay. Um, yeah, I've definitely. Yeah, like Batewell Kelly basically was like, that chick's AI. No, she's
Yeah,
AI,
she
100%.
she's not
So,
AI, but what she's been doing is she's mimicking the style of somebody else, an American podcaster whose name I've forgotten. She it's her style, it's her stuff that she's doing. And what she does is she
okay.
gets so it's her face they're talking, but it's all ran through. She's following a script through Chat GPT. So it is her, but she's using Chat GPT and AI so that's how these videos are produced. But so she is a real person, but she's basically not everything she's talking about. She knows nothing about. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, she's basically, you can tell she's like, she's going over all the theories and stuff that we sort of all went through, all the
mm,
different levels of stuff. Um, yeah, yeah, right. So she's reading a script.
yeah, she's either reading a
But
script or she is.
based on someone else's
Yeah,
content, basically. Like
yeah.
rewrite this video and then she just reads it out.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
that's why
right.
she doesn't reply to any comments and won't take interviews or go on, any other podcast because she doesn't know any of this information. She's just reading it out. But some people have said that actually it's her, but it's an AI like the Google video. It's AI of her.
Well, exactly. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
She can AI herself and just type the script in.
that's it. That's what she's doing
It's
because
like,
she's a
I
digital
think
creator.
so, because it said it doesn't sound like she's reading a script. Like it
Mm,
is said very, very well if she's, because I've tried reading scripts. I don't know if you've tried. It's
yeah, it's
very
awful.
hard to sound. I know, right? Very hard to sound normal if you're reading a script. So yeah, I'd say that's probably what she's doing then. She's created an AI of herself, AI'd her voice, and she'll just input the script and it'll
Yeah,
spit it back.
people are lapping it up.
Oh, she's huge. She's everywhere at the moment.
And
Everyone's
how so
doing this.
quickly?
I mean, I think, it's probably a mix of she's covering all the basic topics, and there's a lot of people waking up and it's new information to them, you know, um, it is, you know, kind of presented well as far as way she speaks and the music, and she's a good looking woman. I'm sure that's not going against her.
No, no, she's
And
definitely
she,
using that, isn't she, to
oh, for
drag in the
sure.
male audience.
Oh yeah, 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 and that the whole English accent on top of it, which
Yeah.
probably too much for you being in England, but
I
you
just
know,
pick up the fact that I don't think she talks like that because every now and again she
it's
slips and there's a little bit of sort of Cockney, a little bit of sometimes some of the words sound a bit northern, and I started to wonder what was going on there. But I put a post up a little while ago about her on Facebook saying, she's talking about stuff that we were talking about a few years ago, and
oh
how does
yeah, for
she
sure.
gain this traction almost overnight? And I had a look, I had a dig, and it was something like February or March this year. She went from a couple of hundred likes to 14,000 overnight.
Mm.
And then I checked her profile and it said she was a digital creator. So she's paying to get likes and paying to promote posts and so on. But
Oh, okay.
it's still impressive that she's gained such a following, repeating things that she clearly doesn't know anything about,
Mm.
just
I know.
literally
It's
parroting stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's all the stuff. Yeah, it's all pretty low level. I don't know,
Yeah,
to
it
sound
is. It is. You
very
couldn't debate
confident.
her on how the ether
It,
works, for example.
yeah, no, it's all entry level stuff, but a lot of people are still waking up and they're just finding out. Like all
Mm,
these people who woke up in 2020, 2021, like this is all new to them. Like,
mm,
I mean, you're probably like me. I was into this stuff 20 years ago, more,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I grew up
That
with
was
it.
the entry level kind of stuff, that.
Yeah.
But I mean, and so this is the thing. It's because what she's saying seems to be, yeah, I'm on board with it. She's not really
Mm,
spreading lies or anything.
no.
So is it good or is it bad, right? Like it's probably helping a
Yeah.
lot of people and
Yeah.
sending them down rabbit holes. And I guess this is the conundrum and the question, right? Is, if even though it's not her, if she's still helping people, putting out the right information, then and making money off it, is that right or wrong, good or bad? Does it,
I think that the money
like,
is the primary motive.
I'm sure
I
it
think
is,
it's
which
not so
is,
much getting the truth out there because she's clearly not researching any of this stuff, and she makes out that she's some sort of
mm,
princess descendant of a sacred bloodline. And I thought, no, no, you're
oh,
not.
I
No,
think
you're
I
not. You're
did
a
see
digital
something like that.
creator. Were a digital creator
Yeah.
up until a few months ago, and now you are, someone who's a star seed and out there trying to
So,
help us all wake up. No, you're not. You've seen an opportunity to make money and you're using
mm,
chat gpt or something to enable you to do that. And that is why I believe
well,
someone said to me they knew her. And I said, oh, great. I'd love to have a chat with her. Can you get her to get in touch? Oh, she doesn't talk to people. I thought, no, I bet she bloody doesn't. Because there's no way you stick her on Joe Rogan for 3 hours and you've got a flat earth on one side and, and a lecturer of history or geology or geography the other side of her from Harvard or Yale, she'd be hammered into the bloody ground. And it's
mm,
because she's not found this information like we have, like, which is why your channel, the name of your channel is so, it's a beautiful word. It could have, isn't it the ultimate, to self learn, to teach ourselves. And she clearly isn't doing that. She's cheating, and
that's
that for
right,
me,
yeah.
having like you for years and years read all this stuff and dug and been laughed at and been banned and shadow banned and gone through all these, jumped through these hoops to get the information out there, and then someone comes along, uses AI, and bang, wipes the floor with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the other point, right? Is that's all because we don't get paid for TikTok in Australia, but I believe they do in the US. Don't know about the UK, but yeah, that's all, revenue that someone who'd done the work could be using to live off, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the shit. That's the work, that's the bad side of it. And I mean, I tend to think that, like, you can't really avoid karma.
No,
And does that mean that she'll, lose her channel or lose all her money? Not necessarily, but she won't enjoy having it.
no, no.
It can't, because I imagine it would be hard to live a life, where you're pretending that you're someone that you're not. You got this
Yeah,
whole false persona out there, right? And
Yeah.
you know, and how big does she want to get? She's going to start walking down the street and people will recognize her, and
Yeah.
that'll really blow her cover if she doesn't know her stuff.
No, I saw someone do that with that Greta Thunberg years ago. Somebody went up to her in the
Greta.
street and they cornered her, not in an aggressive way. They wanted to interview her, and she was just a little kid giggling, and she didn't really seem to know anything much. So I think you've got a lot of people have said that she's an actress, and she
Yeah.
demonstrated that quite well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're all actors and actresses,
Mm,
man. I mean, I would have thought that she would have just said, "How dare you?"
yes,
But
yeah, she just
but
laughed and giggled,
yeah,
and
her
mm,
parents, if you look into them, they're the heads of all into all these big sort of greeny,
mm,
climate change organizations, and they're sort of put up as these, ex-hippie types who are just trying to save the world and
mm.
somehow made $20 million along the way, you know.
Yeah. Oh, bless
It's
them.
like, yeah, God bless their souls. So they're all put out there. They're all, and they tell us, like all politicians, they're actors. It says it if you read their papers, it calls them actors. That's why they do acts,
Acts
right?
of Parliament, yeah.
Acts of Parliament,
Mm,
right? Acts of a play. It,
mm,
it really all is. And so getting back to AI, that's the big question, right? Like what does that mean? Are they complete actors made up by the realm, made up, from AI, or are they real, just people that are playing other parts, or are they clones that have been cloned to play parts? So do they play multiple? I mean, it's a big question. There's so many
yeah, it
questions.
is. Yeah, yeah, it is.
I could,
We've sort of gone off somewhere, haven't we? Because I really wanted to talk to you about
yes, like trams. Let's talk about trams and
yeah,
yes,
and the
let's
electric
do that. Okay,
roads and
let's
yeah, what's
change.
going
Yeah.
on. I don't know if you do you know the song by Eddie Grant? It's a real old 80s song, Electric Avenue. It
Oh,
might even be
yeah,
older than
yeah,
that.
yeah. We're
Yeah.
gonna rock down to Electric Avenue. Yeah, man.
Bloody hell. Well, I've never heard you sing before. It was like a
Oh.
cross between oh, I'm trying to think of the line from the film Step Brothers with Will Ferrell. It's like a cross between something like, I don't know, Jesus and Gandhi or so, I don't know.
Jesus and Candy.
Yeah, what a voice or
Thank you, my son.
yeah, Eddie Grant and Jesus. There you go. Yeah,
Uh,
so Electric Avenue, I've been doing a bit of digging. What do you reckon's going on there where they dig up these roads and there's metal grid work underneath?
yes, yes, yes. Well, I think I mean it's metal, right?
Yeah,
I haven't I did have a bit of a look into it. I haven't seen any like analysis of the makeup of the metal, what it actually is.
I've had a look into that if you're interested.
I would be because I mean my first thought is it's electromagnetic grids. It's
Mm,
something that basically would be magnetized and would repel the magnets under the trams and they would float. Basically,
yeah,
frictionless travel, right?
yeah,
I mean, that's what it looks like to me.
yeah, definitely. They're made from copper, cobalt, and rare earth minerals. Ah, so that's the one from St. Petersburg, isn't it? Kronstadt? St.
It
Petersburg.
is, yeah, Kronstadt,
Yeah.
St. Petersburg. So, hang on, where am I? I'm in the wrong spot. How do I go to the next one? Oh, I've got to move us, I think. There. All right. So yeah, so that basically they uncovered this. I think it was 2016,
Mm,
and you can see in this photo, see how it looks like they're literal like tiles, right? Metal tiles that have been
yeah.
laid that have been laid out in this grid.
The weird thing with the backstory to this is they claim that the Romans did things like that because they wanted to make sure that the road was even. If it wasn't a particularly stable surface that they were constructing the roads on, they put those metal grids in. But the interesting thing is that those middle metal grids aren't attached; they're all individual plates,
Yeah,
and so that
yeah.
wouldn't assist at all. It would still remain uneven because they'd all move.
Good, very good point. And in this one, you can see it was buried. It was just they basically
Yeah,
laid another road on top of it. And of course, same story. No one remembered that that had ever been done, right?
Mm,
But there's one that they've taken out. So it is, they're like tiles, and like you said, they're
yeah,
not connected, right? They just
no,
kind of fit in, right? These little bits sit in the divots there.
yeah.
I mean, and this I mean, is it full metal? I mean, it looks metallic on the top, but this almost looks like it's stone of some kind, doesn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's just from, it
Yeah, like
corroding
being in the
slightly.
ground
But
for a
you can
very
see the
long
element of
time.
copper in it, can't you? You can see that there's copper, but I'd love to know what the rare earth minerals
Hmm.
that are in inside that. Copper, cobalt, and we know cobalt and lithium are used in the, production of batteries.
Yes,
So,
especially like yeah, batteries for electric cars and all these new
mm,
new Fandango batteries. Yep.
but yeah, the narrative is that the Romans laid them, but that they've found them in the Middle East, they've found them in North Africa, they found them here in the UK and France and Italy and Germany as well. But the Middle East and North Africa, when I read that, I thought, well, hold on a minute. We're talking about the Romans having built these, and now we're looking at the Middle East and we're looking at North Africa as well. Um, it started
Yeah.
to sort of break apart. And the more I dug, the more it kept referring me to the Baghdad battery, which I thought was a strange thing
Interesting.
to do.
Yeah.
Almost like it's because I then decided to ask ChatGPT, and that is where it kept saying you might be referring to the connection between these roads and the Baghdad battery. And I thought, well, no, I wasn't. I wasn't. I wasn't doing that at all. Why are you doing that?
Yeah. What is the connection there? I mean, what
Yeah.
Baghdad batteries low, pretty low charge. I mean,
Mm.
they
It's
tell
about
us what the
9 volts, isn't
how
it, or
we
something?
yeah, like enough for electrolysis, right? So they tell us so we're using it to
Mm.
gold plate things and silver plate them. But I mean, I was just looking at these bollards, right? With these, they're all connected by chains, right?
Yeah.
Which would carry current too, right? Like a
Hmm.
circuit. I wonder if they're part of this, if they're like helping to charge it. I don't
I
know,
wondered
just
that. I wondered if it worked in a similar way to a bumper car. The Dodgems.
yeah,
Yeah, I wondered if it was that process that they were doing. Um,
yeah, just reversed basically. So they're getting the charge from below rather than above.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and I would also question that if they are Roman, they're in incredible condition. If we follow the narrative of the timeline that they would have been constructed if they were Roman, then they've
But
been very well preserved. And
haven't
and
they?
why would you cover them? Someone knowingly covered them. Why
Yep.
would you cover them? You'd have removed them or left them and not covered. I mean, I would imagine the traction on that's pretty good in the wet. If there's ice, I mean, we're talking about Russia, in the colder weather. I'd imagine you'd have incredible traction and grip, wouldn't you, driving along that as opposed to a very smooth tarmac surface. So why cover it to start with?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a good point. I mean, I would say why cover it to start with? Because
Does
they
it look
do it for
2,000
all the
years
tech.
old?
Because well, it does not look 2,000 years old. And look, every one of them is perfect. Like none of
Yeah,
these are broken,
no,
right? From being under the roads for years and probably ridden on before, years before that, like centuries, right?
yeah.
They're all perfect.
And you'd think that
Right?
if they were there for no practical reason today and they were Roman, they would have took them all up, recycled them. They'd have been melted down, or maybe put in a museum or something. But they probably would have melted them down and recycled them for something else, and then tarmac the
Mm.
road. Why would you just immediately cover those? Why would you hide them?
To hide their function, I would think.
Mm,
But I mean, looking at them, that they don't even touch, right?
no, I know, and
I mean,
that's why I think there's a something
that
to do with
reminds me,
some sort of magnetic charge there, just
yeah,
enough.
magnetic, but it also
Yeah.
looks a bit like a spark gap, right?
Yes, that's very true. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, could
absolutely.
be, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, magnetism, yeah, that they wouldn't need to touch, would they?
No, just enough distance apart to create that yeah, because we've all done it. We've all got sort of two ends of had two magnets, even if it was at school and you push them together and it pushes itself away, it creates energy. So is that
Mm.
just the right distance to create energy? And my guess is yes. Or
Mm.
to lift, like you said, to actually raise the vehicle so there's no friction. It can
Yeah.
do both at the same time, couldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's Ed Leeds Scallon and Coral Castle. Have you heard you know about Coral Castle? Yeah.
Not Coral Castle, no.
Oh, okay. So Coral Castle is um this construction in Florida that was built by Ed Leeds Scallon in the 30s, I believe. He actually built it and then moved it like 100 miles, but it's like megalithic construction, like 10, 20-ton blocks and that, built by one dude who was like 5 foot tall. And so no one knows how he did. And like
Yes. Yes,
he so
sorry. Yeah.
yeah, he built it and he moved it all 100 miles to its new spot. And no, yeah, no, so no one knows how he's built it. The only report there is that two kids saw him, they said, holding two ice cream cones in his hands and this big megalithic block. He just raised it up off the ground and pushed it along, kind of thing. And so the theory is that he somehow knew how to reverse the polarity of the rock,
Mm,
so it then magnetically resisted the ground. And then you get that effect of what when you try and push, positive to positive on a magnet, right? You
yeah.
can't do it.
No.
So basically you get that and they float. And then you just push
Yes.
them to wherever you want to push them, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Is it working that way? Like maglift, I guess, like Japan are creating at the moment, right? Magnetic lift trains,
Yeah.
and they're doing like I don't know, 600 mile an hour or something. But
There
there's
was
another one.
I
They're
watched a
crazy.
film um a couple of nights ago. I watched this film. It was on I think it might have actually been on the Disney Channel. One of my nephews has the Disney Channel subscription, so he added it for me, and uh, and we watched this film. It was either Disney or it was Amazon Prime. I can't remember. I think it was Disney, but um, Natalie Portman is the actress in it. It's new, and it's about her brother and a group of people that steal famous paintings that in the back on the back of them have some sort of they have a letter. And I think if you get all of these famous famous paintings, these artworks that they've stolen, that each one had a letter on the back that spelt wicked. It also formed a constellation, and they put it on they put it on a map of the world, and it pinpointed to the Great Pyramid of Giza and the King's Chamber, and they went in there, and there were some very equivalent kind of things to Himalayan bowls, and they take with them their this sort of child prodigy musician. He's I don't know about 10 years old, and he sits there and he bangs these bowls in a sequence that he said that these letters not only align to a constellation on the back of these paintings, not only spell a word and give you a location, but actually it's music. It's a piece of music. So he played the music, and all of a sudden, this big, round, heavy slab lifts up in the king's chamber using frequency, and they can
Mm.
just push it with their, just push it. They couldn't even hammer through it or chisel it. They couldn't do anything with it. They just push it, and then it opens up, and they're looking for the fountain of youth. I think that might be what the film's called, something like that. And it was a classic example of frequency and vibration being able to lift something. And I thought everyone's questioned how they built the pyramids, and there you have a film showing you how to move objects that weigh several tons just through the right frequency. And I thought,
Mm.
are they doing this because people are starting to talk about it? So they're putting more movies out there that are covering these topics. So they've covered their ass again, this sort of soft disclosure.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I believe well, I think they've got a lot of the old world tech, and some they
Mm,
understand, some they don't. What they missed along the way was the actual wisdom of the old world,
yes.
right? The
Yes.
ethical code, the imagination, like um I think what's happened is, it's like all these um, secret societies and things and Freemasons and all these groups of people. I think, apart from the new ones, I think the early ones all started off good. And they
I
were
think, yeah,
teaching people the right things, and there was, profound knowledge in there and wisdom and all this kind of stuff. But it depends, it's like the Bible or the Quran or the, whatever religious book. Two people can read that and come out with completely different messages.
yeah,
You can get, and I think it comes down to like maturity, right? Spiritual maturity. Some people will read it and will not see any deeper messages in it. They'll
yeah,
just read it about this story, right? And then there's layers. And so the more that you can read into it, the more you get out of it. So I think, yeah, all these people that are now in control, that's what they did with the secret societies. They took them over after the
yes,
reset and they had the info, but they were immature. They didn't understand it. All they understood from it
mm,
was the external stuff: get power, get money, get women, get
mm,
people to adore you, rule, blah blah
mm,
blah. And so, the essence was lost, right? And so I think the same kind of happened with Tartaria, right? So they see all
yeah,
this stuff and they're like, uh, we don't really understand how to get that working. Let's just cover it
mm,
up, you
yeah.
know?
Joe, it's funny you mentioned the Bible. I don't know what it was, but I went to stay with my mum for a couple of days, and I had to be at Heathrow Airport quite early on Thursday to pick Frina up from because obviously she's been out in Canada. And my mum lives only about an hour away from Heathrow, and I'm 3.5 hours away from Heathrow. So I thought, kill two birds with one stone. And while I was there, I said to her that I've got a very old Bible, but I want a smaller one, so I'm going to buy one. And she gave me her Bible from when she went to Sunday school when she was 4 years old.
Whoa, what year is that?
Um, oh, crikey. 2nd of June,
It is
1953.
53.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. It's a
Yeah. So
nice
that's my
one.
mum's. And what was really strange was she'd lent it to my cousin. Is that when he went to school, he went to Marlborough, where like
The
Pete and
Marlboro Man
Princess
went there.
Kate and all that lot went.
Oh, not the
He went
Marlboro
there.
Man.
Yeah, my brother, me and my brother, we were the only kids that didn't go to private school because my mum refused. Because my mum's side are East End, London Cockneys, and we're not having any of that.
I
Your
don't
great
want no
granddad was a
topping
bin
those
man.
kids.
Yeah, so we managed to get out of that, and it wouldn't have worked for me and my brother because we're kind of not like that. But a lot of my family are, and what was interesting was my cousin died actually 2 years ago. There was you know, he started having really bad migraines, and I asked whether or not he had taken any medical interventions, and he had because he was working in Jersey for a bank and also Switzerland, and he was doing a lot of traveling, and he had to be up to date with everything, and then started getting these migraines, and then one day woke up with a headache, dropped down dead, and that was actually 2 years ago. I think it was the day after my birthday. So I thought it was quite a nice thing to have, and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to start reading this. I thought, no, I'm not, because what I'm reading is the wrong Bible. So I actually went online yesterday and bought the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, which
Ah,
has,
yes, nice.
yeah, because I've got like the Book of Giants, I've got the Book of Enoch, but I haven't got a
Mhm.
book where everything is in place in one bloody book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought I would do that. Because I don't want to read the King James Bible. I just don't want to read it. It's
It,
not the Bible. It's a heavily edited version of it.
it confuses me no end why the majority of Christians refer to that as the true Bible when
Mm,
it was written in the 1600s. Like, so by their timeline, 1600 years after Jesus died.
yeah.
And when you look into it, it was basically done as a money-making operation. It
Yes.
was done when the printing press came out, but they charged that they were charging money. And there's this story, oh, the king was just spreading the good word to the people. No, he wasn't.
No,
He
it
was
wasn't.
charging them for the Bibles and making a crap load of
Yeah.
money.
The Crown still
Um,
own it. The Crown still own the
yeah,
copyright.
they do.
Yeah,
They do. Yep, yep. So they're still making money off it.
yeah. Every Bible that's sold out
So
there, the King James
every,
Bible, the royal
mm,
family earn off the back of it.
it does my head in that one. And we know about, the Council of Nicaea, and there were a few other
Mm,
councils and all the editing, and what it used to be, I think, over 170 books in there, and we're left with 66 in the King James Bible or
yeah.
something. 66, right? But yeah, the Ethiopian, that's where they found the Book of Enoch.
Yeah,
Someone basically went, what, in the 1800s, brought back a Bible and went, hang on, this has got a lot more content than
yeah.
the King James. It had just kept on going. So,
And some of
yeah,
the
man.
commandments, I mean, what in the early Bible, it doesn't say thou shalt not kill, it says thou shalt kill, thou shalt commit adult. There's loads of very strange changes that have been made.
Really?
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that so go out and kill and go
Well,
out
from
and
what I'd sort of read about
commit adultery.
Jesus, I
Sounds
mean,
like Yahweh.
ultimately, I don't know because I didn't know him. And there'll be people watching this that will say all sorts of things, but the bottom line is none of us actually met him and spent any time with him. So it's all guesswork, and
Yeah.
everything's been diluted. And Chinese whispers, it changes, doesn't it, along the way? And some intentionally, I'd imagine. But he sort of came across from what I've read from digging a bit deeper is that he was up for a fight. The people that thought he was,
Jesus.
yeah,
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 yeah, for sure, man. Like in the temple, he was flipping tables over.
mm,
He was abusing what are they called? The basically the Jewish elders, calling them a pit of vipers.
yeah,
Which is a really bad insult back in those days, calling someone a snake because of the
mm,
whole, Satan thing. Pharisees, that's what they were called, the Pharisees.
Pharisees.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, no, yeah, this is the thing. They promote him as this,
Mm,
vegan hippie, turn the other cheek. But no,
yeah,
he had stood his ground
yeah,
basically.
smashed a bank up, didn't he? The
Yeah,
story of the
yeah,
money lenders, he went in there and trashed the
money
place,
lenders
and
and
yeah,
temple, yeah, yeah, trashed
mm,
it all out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But this is the problem with the Bible is, there's good stuff in the Bible, right?
mm,
But the problem is that people they don't read their Bibles. They go to church so that a man in a
mm,
funny dress and a funny hat can tell them how to interpret the Bible and what it means. That's the
yeah,
problem, right?
yeah,
Like it's not the Bible or and I've said it a million times. If everyone lived like Jesus and took his, actually tried to live like he lived, the world would be a much better place.
yeah. Although, having said that, if he knew that he was immortal or would rise again, and if we all knew that, then we would probably a large number of people out there would be doing things thinking, well, it
Good
doesn't
sight.
matter because I'll get another go. I'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
just get
I
another
don't,
life.
I don't, I mean, I haven't studied the Bible, so I just don't know how true all that is
No.
in a realistic physical sense. Is that what he was? Because, like he'll say, I'll be back, I'll rise again. And I'll tell you that means he'll rise again. But then, like I was looking into the trees, the giant trees, and how the
Mm,
angels came down and cut the trees down. And when you look into that, they go, no, 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 it's just a metaphor. It's just a metaphor for the giants falling or blah blah, this and that. So that's all metaphor. But when it's like Jesus rose, oh no, that's don't even think that could be a metaphor. How dare you? You're going to burn in
yeah.
hell now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't have it both ways.
No. And of
So
course, the bloke talking to you in the church is wearing a very similar costume to the judge in a court, in a crown court.
yes, and the judge in the court is treating you like a dead person because he's a
Mm,
necromancer.
mm.
They're into necromancy. They only deal with dead people
Yeah.
in the
Dead legal fiction.
constellation.
Mm,
And like just just to really trigger and annoy a lot of people, Christianity worships a dead dude on a cross,
mm,
and it's all about his death.
mm.
It's kind of similar.
Yeah, it is.
But one of the first stories in the Bible was I forget his name again. I'm thinking oh, it starts with a J. But basically, it was a dude who died and was laid in a tomb next to another body, and then he came back to life because of
Mm,
some interaction with the other body or something. And so the whole Bible, like literally one of the first, I think it was the first saint. It's necromancy,
mm,
and this is the thing they say is the most evil, thing you could do, right?
yeah.
So it's just so many contradictions, man. Like but that's only when you listen to the dude telling you how to interpret it. If you just read it yourself and interpret and take what's good, leave what's not, then it's a good book.
I think if people read it themselves, they would know that Jesus said you don't go to somewhere like a church to pray. You do it in solitude, so they wouldn't be in the building to start with, and that's the problem,
Mm,
isn't it? People become
yeah.
here more so. They decide that they're going to be a Christian. They're going to follow the Christian way of life, but they don't read the owner's manual.
No.
They rely on somebody else to read it for them,
Yeah.
and they're very very select about what bits they read out and how they twist the message they're delivering. Because
Mm.
charity, if you read the Bible, charity is not putting your money putting your hand in your pocket and putting money. It's to accept
Mm.
someone's hospitality and to help where you can. It's not money
Mm.
changing hands, and praying is not going into one of those buildings either, and certainly not having someone lecture or sermon. So anybody who read it properly wouldn't be going there to start with, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. What was it? Do not build temples to worship me in.
Mm,
I mean, Jesus also said to his disciples, these things I do, so will you do, and more.
mm,
So he was basically telling them, you can do more than what I've done and what I'm doing. You've all, so he never ever put himself above and said, I'm the son of God and you're different to me. I'm this
yeah,
big spiritual dude. I'm more spiritual than you, that's nowhere. He was
no,
always with the people and of the people and on their level
mm,
and he literally says it, you can do more than I've done.
mm.
So Son of God, yes, but I mean, this is the thing. He also says, "We are all the sons and daughters of God. We're all the
Yes,
children of God."
yeah,
So
exactly.
he was putting us in the same class that he is, right? We're all the children of God, which means we
Yeah,
all have God living in us. We're all being created by,
yeah,
whatever you want to, interpret God as, right?
the
The
creator, I suppose. Yeah,
creator, yeah, the great
yeah. I don't know
spirit.
what it is. Nobody knows what it is, do they? No, there is.
No.
Unlikely we're going to meet someone who has first-hand experience at knowing exactly what it is.
I think it's like the ether. I
Yes,
think
so
it's
do
the
I.
energy, the
Yeah.
frequency that runs through everything and, animates all life basically, right?
Mm. While I was with my mum, we were sat in this little cafe having a coffee, and the sun was out. It was a really nice day, and there was this old woman sat next to us. So I can't think of a polite way of saying old woman, and I'm very tired. So apologies if there are any old people out there, but an elderly lady is
How
sat
did it
there,
end?
and she was sat all alone. And my mum's one of these people who talks to everyone about nothing, about absolutely nothing. And she turned around to her and said, "Hello there. I'm here with my son, and he's got his dog with him." And I don't know where that came from or why. And she said, "How lovely to have your son there. I just lost my daughter." And it was a few months back. She lost her to cancer. And I turned around and said, and my mum is either on the ball or miles away, and it flips. You don't know. In mid sentence, she can be totally engaged and then gone. And and this isn't to do with her age. This is something that's always been
She's
there.
always had.
Yeah. And I turned around to this woman and I said to her, "Do you speak to your daughter still?" And she looked at me as if to say, "Well, I just told you she's dead. Of course I don't bloody speak to her." And then she thought about it and looked at me and she said, "Yeah, yeah, I do." And I said, "She talks back to you, doesn't she?" She said, "How did you know that?" I said, "Because you just can't see her. We're all still connected, like it's just, just because you can't see someone or the vessel's gone, I think that they're still there in a different frequency. Um, And I said, have you noticed anything unusual? And she said, yeah, like I'll put the radio on Radio 4 in the kitchen and to listen to her favorite show. And she'll come back in and it's been moved to the channel that her daughter liked, which was Radio 2, BBC Radio 2. And that's not the first person that's told me that. And I do believe that we can still sort of, it goes on is kind of what I'm saying. I'm trying not to be too sort of hippie about it, but I do think that
Mm.
when you die, what happens to your consciousness, your aura, your soul, if you want to call it that, whatever it is, the thing that makes you you, they can't find that in the human brain. I think it's around us, this
Oh,
energy.
yeah.
And I think that that has to carry on because you can't kill energy. You can't,
Mm.
you can't
Yeah, yeah.
dispose of
What is
it.
it? The third law of something, hydrothermics or something is basically you can't destroy energy. It
Mm,
can energy can't die. It can only change forms.
yes. So I
Yeah.
think that when she said that, I mean, she started off thinking I was mad, and then she realized that I wasn't taking the piss. I was being deadly serious. And my
Mm.
mum's just sat there, and you could see her suddenly glaze over. And then just as we were walking back to her place, she said to me, when I go to the cemetery, because her parents have a joint grave, she said, I talk to them. And I said, do they talk back? She says, I think they do. I know things. So I'll say to them, I'm worried about something or whatever. And I seem to have a solution in my own mind to whatever it is. It could be something like my mum, apparently, where she lives in this sort of, it's an old people sort of complex. They're all flats and they've all got these cords you pull if you're in trouble. And apparently, she's the go to person if anyone has a problem with their tumble dryer or their stair lift. Yeah, they'll ring her and she'll come around and take the back off and fix it. She'll open up the electric box on the stair lift and have a fiddle around with it and get it up and running again. And yeah, she said that she'll have a problem. Someone will have something that's broken, and she'll talk to her parents at the grave about it, and then on her way back, walking back to her place, she'll have the solution present itself in a kind of Tesla moment. And I thought, well, my granddad was he was an engineer. He worked on Spitfires in the Second World War. He worked on Concorde for a flying school called a place called Marshalls in a county called Cambridgeshire here in England. And he worked as an aircraft engineer all his life.
Mm.
Um, so that he was very technically minded. And I wondered if that was who was telling her how to do this stuff, because my mum, as far as I was aware, until she told me this 2 days ago, I didn't know she could even change a plug. And I've obviously known her,
Yeah.
54 years.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting. I mean, yeah, I tend to think that we're receivers, we're kind of
Mm,
like radios, we receive, and it depends what we tune into. So, I don't believe in death, Death is
mm,
just a doorway, right, to somewhere else. But yeah, basically your energy stays. So it's definitely possible. I mean, I think the biggest question is what happens when we cross over, right? Do we
yeah.
keep our personality, right? Do we keep
Mm,
our individuality, I guess, right? Our individualized self, or do we just go back and become part of the whole and the one and everything that we've experienced sort of gets absorbed? Or because I mean that's from a perspective of being down here in 3D world, it's not a comforting thought, is it, to
no.
lose your individuality, right? Like to sort of.
Mm,
But I mean, we also have no concept of what that means because that could be the when everyone feels when they die and all these explanations we get of out of body experiences and near death, all that, and it's always this the most comforting sort of feeling you've ever
mm.
felt, warm light, and it's amazing. So
What if you've been an absolute shit your entire life? I mean, what happens there, do you think? Because I
well,
sorry, I was just going to say so. Well, I actually want to ask you something and then tell you something. Probably a bit annoying. Sorry, mate.
no, no, no.
The
Okay.
first thing I wanted to ask you is you normally say unalived. That's the first time I've ever heard you say death.
Oh, I normally say unalive just because of YouTube.
Okay. Okay, I
That's
did
just
think
for
that that's why it
censorship
was, but
reasons. Yeah, yeah,
I'd never heard you say that word before. And secondly, I wondered, we release when we're born to help with the process going through the birth canal and the trauma, and when we die, as far as I'm aware, we release DMT. Our brain releases DMT to
yeah.
deal with it. So could it possibly be that when we die, depending on how our life has been and our state of mind and circumstances surrounding our death, does that DMT trigger a good trip or a bad trip? And does that last for eternity because you are now no longer? So is that the heaven and hell? If everything's fine and you've been a good person, or you've been a bad person but you've corrected things, and at the time you die, if you're a good
Mm.
genuine person surrounded by love, DMT is released. Is that a good trip? And if you're an absolute tosspot, um, when the DMT is released, is that the hell? Is it a metaphor for the trip that you experience? And
God. No,
bit
Roger.
deep for a Saturday, isn't it?
Imagine having a bad trip for eternity.
Exactly,
That
and
would,
that's what I
that
wondered,
would,
if that was the heaven and hell
I
metaphor,
mean, I tend to think heaven and hell is earth.
that
It's
we're
this
already in
life.
it. Mm,
Yeah, yeah, because like look around, man. Some people live in hell and some people live
mm,
in heaven, right? But the thing is, it's not because they're good or bad. It's because they entertain good or bad thoughts and feelings. They create it themselves.
mm,
If you believe you're in hell and everything sucks and people are untrustworthy and they just want to rip you off and all relationships ended in, sorrow, then that's what you're going to get because that's what you're going to look for. That's
yeah,
what your brain's going to point out to you, to prove you right. And
like
same
a
with
self-fulfilling
heaven.
prophecy.
Yeah, exactly. It's the reticular activator system, which is that thing in your head where when you want a new car, oh, I want to get, a new whatever, and then suddenly you see them everywhere. Like
Yeah, the
they've
same
they've
bloody color.
always, yeah, yeah, they've always been there,
Mm,
but your mind wasn't pointing them out to you.
mm,
So if your belief is not, oh, this is an awesome car I'm going to get, if your belief is everyone sucks and they're just out to rip me off, that's what you'll see.
yeah,
Your mind will point you out to the unhappy people and the person shoplifting and the whatever, right? And
mm,
you'll believe it's true. So I think that we create heaven and hell. I don't think that because in the end, if we're just if it's the whole theory that it's just one, whatever you want to call that, spirit, God, whatever, there's
mm,
one who wanted to experience itself, so it needed to divide, right, to have at least two perspectives, then if the goal is just experience,
mm.
then kind of all experience is good, really, right? Good
Yeah,
or bad. It's all experience.
yeah. If our consciousness is in
That's
another,
the very Zen hippie way to look at it,
but
but
no, I think I totally agree with you, and I do wonder if our consciousness is in the fifth dimension, and that's actually why they can't locate it in a person, that it sits there. Is us living in the three in a 3D world just so we can experience these things, so we can be, I think ultimately, so we can be creative, so we can do things with
yes.
our hands. It's an
Mm,
opportunity, and you can use
yeah,
that opportunity or you can waste it. And if you waste it, maybe you have to come back and have another try.
exactly, man. And that's why don't waste it, right?
Yeah,
Whether that's true or not, like he wants to come back and start again.
yeah,
But I think that's it. And I think as well that, we've been invaded by
mm,
something, that's not us. But is that part of the experience, right?
mm,
Because what would happen if there was only good down here, right?
mm.
And you couldn't,
You'd have
there's no
nothing to gauge that
heartbreak and
from.
everything was good. What would you learn?
Yeah. But also, how
You
would you know
know,
they're good? If everybody's good, you'd have no bar set, would you? You'd just,
that's true.
everybody is
Yeah.
just ordinary.
Yeah.
No one's
Yeah.
doing anything amazing out there. You certainly wouldn't have people night. Well, I don't believe in the knighting thing, service, that, and the other. I think that's for a completely different reason. But you wouldn't have these saintly figures because we would all be saintly.
Yeah, but basically there'd be nothing to learn
Mm.
and
No
nothing
one
to
to
do.
aspire to or look up to or
Yeah,
admire.
yeah, nothing to challenge yourself. So
Mm.
with all that, there's no growth.
No,
So
so
with
we
no
need these
growth,
politicians and world
what's the
leaders.
point? Exactly. Well, we
Because we
do.
know what scum really is.
Yep. Even if it's just to teach us what we don't want and what we
Mm.
don't believe in. But I mean, more than that, yeah, like there's, we can go, oh God, that's a bad trait. I don't like this. Oh my God. And plus, you know, we got to do something while we're down here. It kind of makes
Yeah.
it fun, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like a choose your own adventure book, right? We're all trying to work out what the hell's going on. Scooby-Doo, right? Who's really behind the mask? Who is that? So and this is the thing, like you can look at this journey of, waking up or whatever you want to call it. I don't really particularly like labels, but like getting a bigger perspective, right? You can look at that as fun, right? And it's an adventure and you're running around like Indiana Jones, right? Or you can think, oh my God, this world is the worst. Look what these people do. Oh my God, I don't know. How can I be here? And that's heaven and hell.
Mm.
It's the same information. Someone goes to hell, someone goes to heaven.
Mm.
Someone has fun, someone doesn't have fun, right? So it's
Mm.
us. It's us that's creating it all.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I don't know why, but I just have this urge to ask you, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? What
What
was
did
your
I want to
first
do?
thing? The first thing. What was your first ambition? And what was it when you were in your teens? What did you want to do?
My first one was to be the $6 million man.
Oh, wow. Oh, what a
Yes,
legend, Lee Majors.
I know, right? I had the little suit thing, and I used to jump off like roofs of houses and stuff when I was like 7, and just do crazy stuff, thinking I was the $6 million man. So that was that was first what I wanted to do. Um, and second, I mean, this is the thing. I never wanted to have a job. Like there was never any like occupation that I was like, oh, I want to, I see something out in the world that someone's doing and I want to do that. I was never that. The only thing I ever really wanted to study was ancient history, and I never really quite got there.
You bloody
Because
have now, mate.
yeah, well, I try, right? But yeah, they just kept teaching me World War One and Two, like over and
Mm.
over and over. And I'm like, "Ugh." And then when I was at uni, I thought about philosophy and history, and I just thought, what's the point? Like, can you really be taught philosophy? Or, I mean, really, they're just going to teach me to read someone else's thoughts and,
Just
you
need a
know,
book from Marcus Aurelius, don't you? And then
well,
crack on your
that's
own
it.
for a bit.
Exactly. That's what philosophy is, and history is the same. And then I understood about how it was gatekeep kept and everything. So what I really wanted to do, the only thing I could think of is I used to work on like camps, like for kids when I was like 18, 19, 17. Just teaching them about, how to use their minds and
Mm.
NLP and meditation and self-esteem, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I wanted to do that and I wanted to travel. I basically
Mm.
just wanted to, yeah, get information out, try and help people and see the world. So
It's
I'm
kind
getting
of
there.
what you're doing, isn't it? Not many people can
Yeah,
say that though.
yeah, I've kind of got there, though I didn't have any specifics. Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because it also seems like I didn't really have a choice of getting here. It all just kind of
Mm.
happened, right?
Yeah, no, I know
This
what that
big
feels like.
sequence of events, like
Mm.
that I didn't have a lot of control over, and here I am.
I kind of like people keep telling me that this is what you're supposed to do because I've done lots of, I mean, everything I've done has been art, it has been driven by art. I went to art
Yeah.
college, wanted to be an architect, but I struggled in the classroom. I found it very boring. I was one of those kids that stared out the window. I asked too many questions. So I had to go to art college, and architecture wasn't going to be for me. Um, and then, I ended up doing graphic design, and then I ended up being a tattoo artist. So I've always had this desire to use the creative part of my brain. And it wasn't until I started studying, Tartaria and the resets that I realized that actually this void in my life, this need to be creative, was actually researching and writing. It was that and everything, a series of events led me to. Because if you had said to me, 5 years ago, you're going to write a book, I'd have thought, well, what? I've written for a few tattoo magazines, and back in the day, a few car magazines because that was what I was doing. I was designing adverts for car security products for car magazines, and so I started writing articles as well. But I've never written a book before, and like Farina says to me sometimes that you're supposed to do this. Like sometimes when I'm banging my head against a wall and saying they're not listening, people aren't listening. I put some information out there. Why aren't people listening? Why didn't this person that I gave the book to understand what I was telling them? Am I wasting my time? Sometimes you just think I'm just going to stop banging my head on a wall and go and do something else. And she says, don't give up, don't give up. And then Max Egan told me, don't give up, brother. Just keep going. If you can just wake a few people up along the way, then you've done your part. And I
Mm.
just keep thinking it's weird the series of events that I went through to get to where I am now. And now I do believe I'm supposed to do this, although I feel uncomfortable when I do a talk. My sphincters contracting. um,
Yeah,
I
man.
I know that I have to do it. I know that no matter how awkward I feel and uncomfortable it is, and sometimes when I'm doing podcasts, I think, oh God, I'm a bit nervous today. I know that I have to do this. You
Mm.
know, Not that it's
Okay.
like, oh, it's what I was here to do. I don't mean that. I just mean that I found my creative
It has been
outlet.
done.
And rather than
Yeah.
pumping a book out there on how to tattoo someone, or the first conspiracy book I ever read was From Atlantis to the Sphinx years and years ago, writing about things like that, I found something that, for whatever reason, is something I can't let go of, and that is the whole reset Tartaria, previous, lost civilization. Like
Mm.
you, I guess I can't let this one go. I'm obsessed with it.
It's, I mean, it's just, it's very weird, right? Because I'm the same. We're humble people. We don't want to be saying, I'm supposed to be here. I was chosen, because it's not
Yeah, I
that at
don't think
all.
that.
But
Mm,
but when you look back at how you got here, it's like, holy shit. It's just this big series of
mm,
coincidences, which don't really exist, right?
mm,
That kind of, because like I said, 5 years ago, you hadn't thought about being an author. Now you've got two books out.
mm,
Like 5 years ago, I was just, making random videos every couple of weeks or months, just when I had time, and yeah, everything like that. There's no way I would. I'm never having a job again. Like that world is just so far away now, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So it does feel like I'm meant to. It kind of feels like even if I tried to do something else, I'd just end up back doing what I'm doing now because, and then you question yourself all the time, like, is my content good? Is this good? And
Mm,
with interviews and live events and even lives on, doing a live by yourself, I still get all like, oh my God, I
yeah.
don't do this. It's so much pressure. Um, but yeah, but you end up doing it, right? And then
Yeah.
you learn and you grow and you just don't think about it, just walk out on stage and see what happens, right?
Oh
Um,
God.
and we've
Yeah.
both got a show coming up soon, actually, haven't we? Like a
Mm,
webinar online on, is it June 9th?
yeah.
Which
It's
I
either
still
not.
need.
Yeah. Is it the ninth? I'm terrible with dates. It's ever since they changed the calendar, mate. Do you know what I mean? If we had, this whole Julian Gregorian, they should have left it. No,
Should have left
I'm
13
no good
months
with
in there.
dates at all. I know it's a
Um,
Saturday.
I'm so bad with dates, man, and birthdays and stuff. And
When
like
actually
I
is
remember
it?
my kids' birthdays, but other people, like even my parents, right? Like my sister would
Mm,
remind me up into my 30s, I think, like it's mum's birthday. It was, I'm
yeah.
horrendous with that kind of stuff.
I'm all right with birthdays, but I struggled for years with my dad's, and I think a little bit of that is because I don't speak to him very often.
Yeah,
And
right,
so
yeah.
I know that his birthday is the 11th of March, 11, 3/11. um, but I think because he lives miles away, he lives in the Canary Islands, and we don't have a brilliant relationship. Um, it it sort of like dropped off my radar a little bit. So sometimes I think it's the 12th, sometimes the 13th, but whatever happens, every single time, um, I miss his birthday. Not intentionally, but I remember everybody else's.
Funny, right? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm also not into birthdays that much. I just think the more you focus on birthdays, and the faster you age, man.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like,
Definitely, as I've gotten older, that the appeal's gone. But
yeah,
having said
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
like my last birthday, which was, when was that? I can't remember what
Last
the
year.
date is. It's
The
gone
date
now.
today is the 31st.
31st. So it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago
Your
today.
birthday. Oh, have
Yeah.
I seen you since then? I can't remember. Happy birthday, anyway,
Thank
perhaps.
you. It was weird because Frina was in Canada, and
Mm,
um and I sort of like felt felt that it wasn't a birthday. I wasn't expecting cake and balloons and stuff. Well, maybe I was actually, but it was
wow.
it was different. I was staying with my younger son, and they were preparing for a barbecue for my daughter-in-law's birthday. Because it was her birthday 2 days later on a Monday. So they were having a barbecue with friends around. So I said hello to everyone and then sat up in the spare room on my iPad watching YouTube content. And so that was a weird way to spend your birthday. And I think as you get older, unless it's like a big number, like my 60th, I think I probably will get incredibly pissed. And I'd like to be
Yeah,
somewhere because that's a
the
kind of a bit more of
60,
a landmark.
is that the new 50, is it?
I
I
think
didn't
it's
have
got
a
to
50
be
yet.
because when I was younger, I don't know about you, but people that were in their 50s, I don't think I would connect to them, and they don't look like or act like me and a lot of people I know.
It's it's crazy. If you look at the actors, from the 70s and 80s that are 50, like they look like old people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and everyone's
like
wearing a suit, and yeah,
they just like full on the whole grandparent thing, right? They look
yeah,
like grandparent, like, and yeah, I don't know. I hope I don't look like a grandparent, though I may be one soon, but
really,
um, well, no news yet, but my eldest is definitely, he wants
he's
to start a
practicing.
family. Yes, apparently so.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, I mean, this is the thing about aging and I guess time, right? Is it time that time's moving at a different rate, or are we just
I think it is.
because it's weird, right? Because we're the most poisoned generation ever.
Mm,
And I mean, but saying that, not everyone's looking young. There's Ellen DeGeneres ain't looking too good. Madonna, some of these
do you think they've fallen
celebs.
out of favor
You
somewhere along the line? Because you know, don't get me wrong. I think that for Madonna to still be able to do what she's doing is pretty impressive. But I do look at her and think, come on, you've got to throw the towel in. This doesn't look great. She's
know?
aged, hasn't she? A lot. I mean, you
Well,
look, she was married to Guy Ritchie, and I saw Guy Ritchie the other day, and I know that he was younger than her, but Jesus Christ, you think it was her son?
mm, yeah, yeah. Well, she's in her 60s, but I think, it's like, why are the Rolling Stones still doing concerts? Why is Bob
Uh-huh.
Dylan still? Why are all these people? I think because they've signed contracts, and as long as they can make
Yeah.
money for people, then they don't have a choice.
Do you think they're also being supplied with certain things that might help them keep going and staying
Well,
young that we're not allowed to
it's
mention?
interesting, right? That Ellen, like just a couple of years ago, looked pretty young, right? She kind
Mm,
of was always a,
mm.
bright face, big smile. Now she looks about 112.
Yeah.
Is that because she has no access to certain potions anymore?
Yeah, exactly. And
You know?
hopefully people know what we're talking about here. But
Yeah.
I watched a film the other
No.
day. I can't remember. Oh, it was the latest Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise.
Oh,
Now, Tom
yeah,
Cruise, correct
man.
me if I'm wrong, Tom Cruise surely by now is in his bloody 90s. But like, I looked at him and I thought, you're still doing all your own stunts. Everything looks perfect. I appreciate you people can have work done, and lots of people do that, but it's more than that. In his case, it's more than that. And that Donald Marshall, when I was sort of looking into human cloning, like when I started in 2012, Donald Marshall said that the Illuminati, from his experience, was a combination of a certain group of people, but also heavily involved within it was Scientologists. They made up
Ah,
in
interesting.
America a key
Yeah,
element to
right.
what he calls the Illuminati. That I know that they're
Mm,
not who they originally set out to be. Like you said earlier on, things are hijacked, but he said in America that the Illuminati is heavily influenced by Scientology,
mm, mm.
and
Just
Tom
had a look,
Cruise is
Tom
a
Cruise,
big part of that.
he is. He's 62 years old.
Now he does not look 62 years old.
I mean, and the
Poor
main thing is
actor.
doing his own stuff. Yeah, being able to
Mm-hmm.
run around and jump and all this stuff.
Yeah,
Like that's he's doing pretty well.
and
And
that can't be hard to do. That can't be
Mm.
easy in Tom Cruise's case to do all of these stunts when you're wearing high heels.
Exactly right. And you're only 3'5".
Yeah. Thank God he's grown again in the press. I thought secretly he was about 3'2", so he's gained a couple of inches.
Yeah,
Bless him.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's the high heels, I think, is what it is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's an anomaly, isn't he? But then Brad Pitt's another one, slowly going grey. What is he?
Yeah.
Similar age to Cruise, isn't he?
He's probably a little bit younger, but probably not too much. I'd say
Mm,
he's older than me. So yeah, exactly. And there's a few. I mean, George Clooney was supposed to be like this. What do they call him? The silver fox.
yeah.
But he's looking a bit worse for wear these days too. But I mean, it's interesting. Some of them, yeah, age really well. Some of them don't. I mean, look at Bruce Jenner, man. He's not looking that. He's looking worse than ever.
Ah, ah.
So yeah,
Thanks, mate.
it's
That's made my entire day. That has. You're
my
not
pleasure.
kidding there, are you?
No, yeah, I know, right? He made a cock up of it all.
Sorry, it said cock up. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Sorry,
Uh,
I feel like I've got a bit of jet lag as well. Is jet lag contagious?
yeah, probably.
I
But I
suppose
mean, you
it's
have been up since 2 in the morning, so it's like you've got up to take a flight, right? Because it's not like you did anything yesterday,
yeah.
went to bed, and then you popped up after a few hours.
And to me, when you fly into different time zones, you are ultimately time traveling.
Apparently so, yeah, yeah. If time is real, if time zones are real, but yeah,
Yeah, I think
it's
time's just
true, man.
yeah,
And this is the thing, like, I always go back in time when I travel because I'm in Australia, right? And
yeah,
then
yeah,
then I go
absolutely,
forward in time to come home. It's Back to the
yeah.
Future every time for me.
And of course, if Concord was still around, I wonder if there is somewhere this isn't my forte, by the way, sitting here and calculating quickly time travel and time differences. But of course, if you could travel with Concord and you're traveling, at 1,000 miles an hour, could you land somewhere before you took off?
Yeah, yeah, probably.
Celebrate New Year's Eve in several different places.
Mm. Well, that's what
Yeah.
they used to do, wasn't it?
Mm.
They'd go to, yeah, have like in New York and then fly to LA or the other way around in less
Yeah,
than a
one of those sort
couple
of
of what.
things. Yeah. I think that's fascinating,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
isn't it weird that we don't have the Concorde anymore?
I
Like
was thinking about that the other
it's
day.
it's
For
it's
what?
like the
One
telemetry for the
disaster.
moon, right? They just threw it away.
It's almost like we've
Like,
slowed down, isn't it?
we're going backwards.
Mm.
Like that was cutting edge technology that,
Mm.
and now what we have now it takes it's like 23 hours plus to get Brisbane to LA, right? I mean, you could do that in like 5 hours or something in the Concorde.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? And why? We had that disaster in it was Charles de Gaulle, wasn't it? Paris, the airport, where it one one accident. Now, to me, I imagine that somebody somewhere decided they weren't going to use Concorde anymore for whatever reason, so they did a Hindenburg on it.
Yeah, yeah, it's totally Hindenburg, right? One accident, but
Mm,
all the other normal planes, they can just fall out of the sky,
yeah,
disappear. Ah, it doesn't matter. We just give them less leg room and less. I mean, I remember
yeah,
going on a plane, man, when I was in my teens, and you'd just get served really good food. Like everyone,
mm,
the whole thing would be to make sure you're happy, and it's just this whole experience, right?
mm,
Now you get on, and half of them, if you order food, you never get food unless it's international.
mm.
But I've seen a few, and they're like, "Do you want to order food?" It's like a cheese and ham toasty or something, and you just know
Yeah.
it's going to be old, and they're going to microwave it, and yeah, man. Like we're
Oh
definitely
man.
degrading. Like we're not going forward,
You need to
unless it.
fly Ryanair. There's an airline here in the UK, right? Well, they're actually of Southern Ireland, they're from, but Ryanair. I mean, my brother flies with them quite a lot. 'Cause he lives in Tenerife and he comes over to England to see my mum, me sometimes. And he uses Ryanair because they're cheap. And he was on a flight once and he just got on the plane and there were a family and they said, would it be possible, because it was allocation on arrival, they said, would it be possible if we could all sit together? Because I don't want to be separated from my young children. Is there anything you could do? And the stewardess said, just be grateful you've got somewhere to sit at all, and walked off. And it's like if they were dishing up a meal on a long haul flight, it would be like broken leg of lamb, that kind of thing. Or, if you want mushrooms, they're on the back of the toilet door, scrape them off yourself. Just kind of that. You're expecting to be punched in the face when they serve you a drink, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's horrendous.
But they're
I
flying
mean,
for
I
about
remember,
£15, a flight for literally 15, £20.
yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
50 bucks?
I mean, I used to go to Amsterdam a lot. I used to tattoo in
Man, you
Amsterdam in
get so ripped
November.
up.
And people used to say to me, what are you paying to get out there? You go out there quite a bit. And I knew someone had a tattoo studio there as well. And I was tattooing at an event that they hold in November called the International Tattoo Convention. It's organised by the Hells Angels, and it was a massive event. People from all over the world tattooing there. Met some amazing people there, and I used to go, and they used to say, what does it cost you? You're going out there quite a bit, and I said that I'd never paid more than £50 for a return flight, but then it's only 45 minutes from where I was flying from.
Yeah, okay, 40. Yeah, okay. Because Brisbane to Sydney is about 250, $300, but
Mm.
well, it's probably, I don't know, it's probably only 2 or 3 hours flight.
That is quite a bit of money, isn't it? So, like, if I wanted to go to,
That's,
oh, well, funny enough, we're going to Barcelona at the end of July because we want to have a look at the Gothic Quarter there and look at the architecture. And we were looking at flights, and a friend of mine lives out there, and we were having a look at the flights last night, and it was about £120 return from here to Barcelona. And I thought,
wow. But
okay, that's all right. It's not
that's
too
the
bad.
thing with Europe, man. Like when I was coming back last time, I left from North Carolina in the US and flew up the East Coast and then across to Europe. And I think it took me like 3 hours to fly up the East Coast of the US. And then when I hit Europe, it took me like an hour to to go straight across all of
Yeah.
Europe.
And why
It's
not straight across the Atlantic? Why fly up the East Coast?
Well, it depends what map you're looking at,
Mm,
I think.
mm,
The straightest line on a flat Earth map is different to a globe.
yes.
It's yeah. I mean, my first trip to Florida from Brisbane, I went via Canada,
Wow.
and that's literally like this doing a triangle
Yeah.
almost. But
Mm,
on a flat Earth map, it's literally a
straight
straight
line.
line. Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I've seen
interesting.
pilots interviewed. People have waited for them to get off of planes and they've said, what adjustments do you make for the curvature of the Earth as you're flying? They said, well, none. And they said, well, got to ask you, is it a ball or is it flat? And every single time they say, well, it's flat.
It's flat, yeah. In the like pilot's handbook or whatever it's called, it says that to treat the Earth as a flat, non-rotating plane.
Mm. I guess they do that when they build canals as well.
Yes, well, yes, right.
Mm,
That famous one in England, can't remember the name where they did that experiment, but yeah, I mean all of it, right? Bridges,
mm,
like my Florida Keys. They got those massive long bridges
yeah,
from island to island. And so they're curving them. And the longest bridge in the world, I think, is like it's like 10 kilometers or something
yeah.
ridiculous. And it would have to have, I don't know, 20, 30 meters of curvature in it. But then they're not in the plans. You can look at the
No,
plans. No
no, they're
curvature
not.
in there. So,
When I was a kid, my nan lived, my dad's mum. She lived in Dover, Kent, right at the corner, the closest place to France, really. So we got the where the English Channel is. So that's where all the ferries and the we used to have hovercrafts
oh, okay.
that would go get across to
Yeah, whatever
France. The
happened to
tunnel.
hovercrafts?
I know my auntie worked on the
Again,
hovercrafts
right?
for
I remember
years.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no longer economically viable or
Yeah,
financially
right.
viable. But I remember, like as a kid, we would go to the cliffs, the White Cliffs of Dover, and we would see on a bright day you could see Calais. And I thought, now, how was that possible with it being sort of over 20 miles away, allowing for you've got to allow for every mile. So I don't know what it is, but it's something like 2 or 3 feet a drop. I shouldn't be able to see anything at all, but there it is. I can see it. Um,
Mm.
it does beg a few questions. If you do think we're on a ball, there are certainly some things out there that would question that. But
Mm.
I hope one day to find out.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Antarctica,
I
you
want to go to
know.
the North Pole because everyone goes on about
Well,
Antarctica. I want to go north.
I'd like to see if they're at the edge of the dome, but I'd also definitely like to go north and see if there's lands past the north wind, right?
Yeah,
As we heard in the Smoky God.
yeah, definitely.
Um, I mean,
Me
that would be
too.
cool. I actually just did a video today. It's probably not going to be up for a week or so, but all on the islands up there and Greenland, it just keeps changing shape and changing its
Mm,
position and there's like the island of Frisland that,
mm,
sort of disappears and reappears and like there's a lot of stuff up there, right? And I found there used to be an island called like Thule, right? Like Thule up there too. We've got the maps for it, right? And you can't find that information. No one will tell you, yeah, there was an island of like called Thule up
mm.
just near Iceland. So they're hiding a lot of stuff up there, man, I
Yeah,
reckon. And
yeah, I
and
think so.
is Hyperborea still above water? I mean, I think there's a good chance, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so
Mm.
too. I think that there are continents out there that we are just not aware of. And because of
Yeah.
shipping lanes and flight paths, and people have said, haven't they? You get anywhere close to any of these places, and suddenly, you have the navy appear, and you can be arrested or even shot at. So
Yeah. I
why
mean,
for entering a shipping lane?
The Pacific is so big. They could be hiding something the size of the Americas out there, and we would never
Mm,
know because
no.
we can't fly there. You can't go there on a ship.
Mm,
And then the one of the biggest ports or one of the countries that all the biggest ships are registered to is this little atoll in the middle of the Pacific, apparently. I've forgotten what it's called now. But literally you can't even see it on a map. You've just got to zoom in like just to
mm.
know where it is and everything. And it's got all these massive, but it's just inhabited by natives. But the US, give it billions a year and all this. And for all we know, that's a port on a massive continent. Like,
Yes,
'cause the only information we know about it is what they tell us and what they show
yes.
us. And if you think they're telling us the truth, man, go on Google Earth and
Mm,
zoom into something and tell me that that's the truth. Google Earth is so bad now.
yeah. I used to spend
Look up
hours on there, and
Minecraft.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is, isn't it? Like Antarctica, I would spend hours on Antarctica looking for things, and all I used to find are pixelated areas, badly pixelated areas, so you could see that they've been, photoshopping or whatever. I spent
mm,
ages looking at that, zooming in, and then looking at the islands, Rothschild Island, and all these islands
yeah,
around Antarctica named after elite families and bloodlines. Oh,
yeah,
come
man.
on, what's going on
I used
there?
to spend heaps of time, and then you'd discover something and make a video about it, and then you'd go back to look at it, and
It's
they've
gone.
blotted it out
Yeah,
like all the
yeah,
time. Just
yeah.
crazy. it's just got to the point where God, I don't know, it's fairly retarded at this point.
Well, on that bombshell,
No bombshell. The world's retarded.
yeah, just seemed we've been going for a little while, haven't we? And just wanted to say
Yeah,
thank
right.
you.
Oh,
Yeah,
45, yes. Well, thanks for having me back. Yes, I hope everyone enjoyed that. It was a bit of another wandering, meandering talk, but we hit a few different points.
yeah. I think they're the best ones, aren't they? I mean, the the Electric Avenue, the metal grid work. That's something that I wrote about in my first book. That's something that I find fascinating,
Mm.
and I kind of think that as much as I wanted to talk about that, I do like it when we go off and talk about other things, and I think
Just,
people do too, because it's like watching a couple of blokes in a pub having a chat over a beer, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yes,
It's a bit
yes.
more
Well,
real than all
better.
these staged.
We could be Emmas and just sit here with
Exactly,
our
just
nice
verbatim.
girls.
Yeah,
Boom,
yeah,
boom, boom.
definitely.
No, and
Yeah,
I think that's what we've got to do, right? We've got to choose the humanness, with this all
yeah,
this AI stuff going on.
yeah,
If they put it out there and no one watches it, it'll probably go away.
yeah. Let's hope so.
Mm.
Well,
Indeed.
thanks again, Campbell, for
Thank you, man.
yeah coming on, and yeah, I shall speak to you again soon. I have no doubt.
Definitely, man. Let's do it again. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. We'll have to think of something even more strange to talk about next time.
Yes, yes, yes. Leave us comments below what he wants to talk about.
Yeah. Take
All right,
care, my
man. Well,
friend,
have a good day. Yep, I'll be in touch. We'll talk
and
soon.
you, and
See you,
you.
mate.
Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.